Welcome to the Burn Factory Podcast with Priest and Phoenix Rivera. Listen as the boys interview the biggest names in sports and entertainment. The Burn Factory starts now.
What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Burn Factory Podcast. I'm your host, Priest, joined by my co-host, my brother, the one and only Phoenix. Say what's up to the camera.
What's up, y'all?
This is called the Burn Factory for a reason. I was literally caught on fire. 50% chance to survive, but through that, started this podcast because I believe every single person out there on this planet goes through a burn moment somewhere in their life.
You heard Priest say a burn moment. So a burn moment is a super hard time in your life that you just have to fight and to get through to ultimately get you where you are today. And me and Priest believe that every single person on this earth go through burn moments every single day that truly build to who you are. But what an amazing guest we have today. This is a guest that I've been wanting for a very long time. He is a pioneer of mixed martial arts. He is now one of the most intelligent coaches in the game. You have seen him on Dana White's Looking for a Fight. He is also a UFC and ESPN analyst. He is also on Sirius XM as the host of the Fight Nation show. And to top it off, this man is an actor and a comedian.
So please give a welcome to Din Thomas.
What an intro! What an intro that was!
I had to. You have Din Thomas, and you gotta up it.
You gotta read it all.
I almost feel like I'm being punked because this is too nice. I feel like someone's gonna jump out and start choking me from behind. What's going on with you? This is way too nice. This is amazing.
Be honest, were you shocked whenever you came in?
I was shocked.
You were?
I was shocked because I just met you guys at the fight last time. He was like, "Yo, I'm gonna come on the podcast." I'm thinking, oh, here we go. It's gonna be in a little hotel room, the little stick mic. But no, man, this is. I'm blown away by the production here. This is amazing.
Thank you, appreciate it. Yeah, if you guys didn't know, we met Din Thomas back at UFC 289 in Vancouver. We told him about the podcast, and he said he's down to do it. And look at us now. We have him on.
Here we are. So you're a comedian, yes?
Well, I'm not very funny, but.
Okay, I've seen every episode of Dana White's Looking for a Fight. You're pretty damn funny.
I just. I've done comedy, improv. I've done some stand-up, but I've done a lot of improv. Where we get on and pretend to be different things. I've done that for over a decade. So that's where my comedy comes from.
Can you tell us a joke?
Well, I don't do. You
just got to be
punchline.
You just got to be fly with it, I guess.
Yeah. When did that kind of start for you?
I started doing improv. Well, first off, I started acting in 2005. As just a way to get more comfortable in front of a camera. Because as a fighter, that's performance is performance. It doesn't matter whether you're fighting, public speaking, acting. Performance is performance, being able to focus and deliver. So I figured that acting would be a good way for me to work on that performance muscle. And so I said, you know what, I'm gonna start acting. And I started doing that. And then during that time, my fight career started to take off a little bit. So then I had to put the acting aside. But I still liked the performance side of that. So improv, you don't have to remember scripts. You just go out and do it. So I said, I'm going to do improv because I don't have to remember anything. I just show up and learn how it works. And so I started doing that, and that's kind of how I got into improv.
Did you do any school plays?
No, I never did. But I've done a lot of theater, though. I've done a lot of theater, like community theater and stuff like that. And I've done a lot of improv. I mean, embarrassing improv. I mean, when I say embarrassing.
What's the most embarrassing?
But that's part of doing improv, though, is not being afraid, and that has carried me all the way to where I am now. Like doing things for Dana White, and everybody's like, man, you got cojones. You're doing this. I'm like, man, it's improv.
Do you think if you didn't do improv, your life would be totally different?
It'd be totally different for sure. It'd be totally different. And I've done guerrilla improv, and that is where you go on the street. So I live in West Palm Beach, is where I do my stuff at. And we go on the street downtown, and we just, when people are eating it outside the bar, we just do improv for them.
Really?
We just walk up and go, all right, we're gonna do some improv for y'all. Give us a suggestion, and then we just start doing improv.
Really?
Yeah.
You said you've done some embarrassing improv. What's probably the most embarrassing?
I mean, that's pretty embarrassing.
Just walking up.
Yeah, just walking up to people and they're just trying to eat a meal, and and they're like, get out of here, So so that's pretty embarrassing. And then one time, so another story I had is when my son was real young, he was probably about 7 or 8. I did a show in Miami, and it was so embarrassing. I mean, it was like no one laughed. It was just so embarrassing. And then my son was there. It was his first time being there. And when we got done, we get in the car. He's like, "Dad, you guys were so bad." I was like, "I know." It was embarrassing.
What is it like in the moment whenever you tell something, no one laughs? What do? Do you just like kind of like fold or?
No, you just. I mean, it's part of the game. It's part of the territory. You know.
Yeah.
So when I did some stand up too, and same thing. I mean, I was just kind of used to it. So like you tell a joke and it doesn't go over well, you're like, all right, move past it, get past it.
Yeah.
But you know, I did some stand. I was a comedy special on Fight Pass with Adam Hunter. So like that was cool. So it was Adam Hunter's comedy special on Fight Pass. Me, Henry Cejudo, Chael Sonnen, and Adam all went up and did a show. So
We'll have to go check that out.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen it.
no,
We'll go check it out.
Go on Fight Pass. It's on Fight Pass.
It's still up there?
Yeah, it's still
Okay,
up.
we'll have to go check it
After
out.
this, we'll go check it out.
Yeah.
But all right, Dean. So on this podcast, we do use the acronym BURN. So each letter is a different time in your life. So B stands for beginning. Take us back to the beginning, your childhood. Were there any burn moments that you had to overcome that ultimately got you to where you are today?
Well, I mean, all right, B and then the U is the which one?
Unfortunate.
Unfortunate. And then the R is the
Ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
Look, he chuckled. He has some ridiculous. And then N is now.
They're all kind of the same, right?
Yeah.
And in their own way. So,
In no way. So yeah, take us to the beginning.
All right, in the beginning, I was born and I grew up in Delaware, a small town. I just went back the other day to sell some of my old buddies, so I mean that was cool. But yeah, small town. Then I eventually moved to Florida when I was 13. So, and I moved to Florida because my father and my mother split because he was an alcoholic. So they separated. I moved to Florida with my mother. Me and my brothers and sisters moved to Florida and then grew up in the sticks of Florida. So I essentially grew up in like these small towns. And I think that helped me personally because I had to figure things out on my own. So I was very independent. I had to figure stuff out on my own. So even when I first moved to Florida, I taught myself how to cut hair. Me and my brother, we needed a haircut. I taught myself how to cut hair. So all through high school, I was a barber. I had a barber shop in my mother's garage, and that was how I for a high school kid, I was banking too, man. I was banking in high school because I had a barber shop. I taught myself how to cut hair and taught myself how to have a bar, run a business.
Yeah,
in high school.
How did you even know how to cut hair? Just watching shows, or did you just kind of went with the flow?
No, I was like, when we first moved, we didn't have a barber. I was like, man, we need to go buy some clippers, and then I just started practicing.
It's hard. It's hard. Like our entire family is hairstylists and barbers. My mom was a hairstylist. My cousin are barbers.
I can tell.
I
can tell.
Yeah.
You like my flow?
Yeah. You got the nice little locks. Yeah.
He just lets it go, but it's very difficult. Like I've tried it once on like a little mannequin, and it's hard.
it's
like it takes
easy.
a lot of practice to be able to get good at it.
Yeah. And so then when I first started fighting, I was a licensed barber. So like I went to school, got my license to cut hair, and that's what I thought I was going to do. I thought I was going to open a barber shop and just be a barber. That's what I thought. But at the same time, like I was fighting. So, and then the UFC did what it did, and now here we are. So,
what age did you start fighting at?
Soon as I graduated high school. That probably goes into my unfortunate situation, though.
Okay.
So that's what I'm saying. It's all kind of intertwined.
Yeah.
So, but in the beginning, it was just, I was just a shy, quiet little kid who very introverted, but introspective from being introverted. So that's why it was, I don't want to say it was easy for me to teach myself how to cut hair, but being not being so influenced by my external stimuli, just being always like internal, I was able to teach myself how to cut hair and teach myself how to do a lot of things. Like fighting, that's how I even got started in fighting. Like I didn't have an instructor. I didn't go to a school or a gym. It was like I bought tapes and me and my boys was in the backyard practicing.
Wow.
And that was the beginning. Yeah, that was the beginning. And I was winning fights off of that.
Wow. How long until you finally got into like a stable like team or like a gym?
I had actually did what I was doing until I was even teaching.
Wow.
So like that's like as a coach now, like I'm not just my entire career I had been teaching and coaching guys because like I had to teach all my sparring partners how to do it so that I could have sparring partners. So I didn't really join a team until I had already fought in the UFC. I'd fought like right after I fought BJ Penn. Yeah, after I fought BJ Penn.
Wow. So you're
Yeah.
completely self-taught.
So up to
until
that point, I was pretty much self-taught, just going to different, like every so often go to different gyms and beat up guys in different gyms.
Is it true that you say that you're a better coach than you are a fighter?
Yeah, for sure.
What makes that?
Just because I think I could have been a really good fighter, but I didn't have someone like me to validate what I was doing because I was so out of the box. Me and Aljamain Sterling was talking about this yesterday, that like he does things so different, but everybody wants him to do things the traditional way. Like he's like, man, I can't box like a boxer. I'm not going to do it. And they're trying to get me to box like a boxer. And I said, you absolutely cannot do that, because that's what happened to my career. In my career, I was so out of the box because I had taught myself how to do things. And then when I started working with more traditional people, they put me back into this box in which I was no good. And then I can recall losing fights by trying to fight a style that didn't suit me. So for me, I was like, you know what, I got to stay and do what I'm doing. So as a coach, I don't try to put anybody in a box. I find out what I think they're good at, and I fix it. I think of myself as more like a scientist or a doctor. You know, when you go to a doctor, you know, you got to figure out what's wrong with you. You know, if you got this ailment, you got to take this prescription. You got that one. Some of them might look the same, but you can't take the same thing. So as a coach, I look at that and go, this is your problem. You can't just go to a boxing class and fix it. You got to fix it with this. So that's why I think I'm a better coach than I was fighter.
Okay.
Do you think more coaches need to kind of develop that mindset?
It's hard because their ego gets involved, and their ego and their tradition of where they came from, their upbringing. So like if you come from a wrestling background, you're always going to filter the game of MMA through wrestling, which is why, so, you know, I work on a broadcast with DC, and DC is always like, they got to get up. They got to get up. They're on their back. They got to get up. It doesn't work. They got to get up. Because he's always going to filter the game of MMA through wrestling. Me, I never had a background. So I don't filter it through anything. I filter it through what works. What works at the highest percentage. And that's how I filter the game.
I feel like that affects fighters too, because you see sometimes they're bouncing around gyms continuously trying to just find that coach that's going to take them and develop their style better.
And it's hard too because but that's a problem too, because a lot of fighters don't want to be accountable for their own thing. And what they're doing is they're seeking the answer, but really the answer might be within themselves, that they just need to sit down and listen to somebody, anybody.
Yeah, they need that extra support from someone different eyes on it.
But oftentimes, you know, they'll go to one gym and then it doesn't work out, and then they'll blame everybody at the gym, then they'll go to another gym and blame everybody. But the reality is it might be themselves. So that's the one thing I always tell fighters is you have to be accountable. Like everything you do, so I was in Philly, I was working with Sean Brady, and before he got hurt, and even when he got hurt, I was like still teaching the classes. I was like, listen, I just want to teach. Yeah. And my main thing is this: when you're out there and fighting, like you have to be accountable. You can't be like, oh, this guy was too strong. He was too fast. You got to be accountable. You got to find a way to make it work. That is it. There is a way. You got to find it. You just have to be accountable. But when you start pointing the finger at everybody else, you can't be accountable. And you can't fix your problems because you're already relying on somebody else to fix it for you. You got to be accountable. That goes for anything in life.
How many fighters do you coach?
Not many now. I work with just a couple. You know, I just work with a couple now. Like I still work with Jillian Robertson. I've been working with Sean Brady. A couple of guys in Bellator, J.J. Wilson and Darian Caldwell. But just a couple.
Is it hard bouncing around from different states while they're in camp somewhere and someone else might be in camp?
No. And I mean that may just be me, me and my commitment issues. You know, I don't really want to be committed to anybody. I've done that for a long time, and that was a problem for me too. That was one of the reasons why I wanted to leave American Top Team, because I was a coach for, like, I had American Top Team gyms for a long time, and then when I was a coach for them for about 5 years, just a full-time coach, it was a problem for me because I always wanted to work with different people. Mm-hmm. And in this game, it's information-based. And I just feel like it's education and information, just like going to school. And to hold on to it is selfish. So I was like, well, I don't want to just sit here and just, like, coach these guys. Like, there's other people out there that could use this information. And if I can't get it to them, you know, I'm not doing the world a service. We're not going to see the best of the best. Like, that's what I want when I see a fight. I love watching Volkanovski fight because he delivers and he gives you stuff. And like, I love to watch that performance. And if I can be a part of helping somebody fight that way, I'll do it.
Volkanovski's a bull, man. He's not scared to take a fight.
Yeah,
to you.
no, that's
he
what I'm saying.
He doesn't point the finger anyways. Like when he lost to Islam, he was not pointing the finger.
No, he
like,
just
oh, he
started-
was bigger than
Yeah.
me. He's heavier than me. He was like, he's the better man that
Yeah,
night.
that's why I like watching him fight. He's accountable for his actions. He does what he got to do, and he's a great fighter because of it.
And pound for pound right now.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
All right, Dean, it's time to go to you and Burn. It's unfortunate. There's a lot of unfortunate Burn moments that happen, but through those unfortunate Burn moments, some of the best Burn moments come out of it. Unfortunately, I was caught in a school science experiment by my teacher. It was a fire, blew up in my face, spent a week in ICU, had 7 surgeries, and a 50% chance to survive. Because with burns, the swelling around the neck, it's so bad, and they were worried that I was going to, like, my breathing was going to stop. But in the hospital, I found my burn moment. So I'm a competitive golfer, and I had my family go get my putter, all hooked up to all the IVs. My face swelled shut, couldn't even see out of my left eye. And I would put 3 balls into a glass jar for hours and hours. And that's when I was like, you know what? I'm going to get out of this hospital, and I'm going to go take this unfortunate burn moment and make it into the greatest comeback ever. And now I got a Burn Factory podcast. So
Look at you. I mean, that's so inspiring. I mean, that's kind of the reason why I'm here, because when y'all told me that story, I was gutted. I was like, I got to do the show. But yeah, so my unfortunate story goes back to when I was in high school. So I was dating a girl, and like, I don't know, how old are you?
17.
Yeah, I was your age.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was your age. But I had been dating her for a couple of years. And when you're 17, you date a girl for a couple of years. That's a couple decades. Understand that. It's a big portion of your life.
Yeah.
So like, we were in love. And but then as my senior year in high school, you know, we thought we were going to break up because we were going to go in different directions. So she started seeing another guy. And when you're 17, somebody starts seeing another guy, that's like life and death. That's like, you know, it broke my heart. It killed me, broke my heart. So like any juvenile delinquent, I had to take matters into my own hands. And like your situation was an unfortunate situation. Mine was totally wrong on my part. So I took it upon my own self to hit the dude in the head with a wrench. Oh. Yeah. I hit him in the head with a wrench, and I ended up going to jail and having to do a little time. And I couldn't go to college, couldn't do anything from it. So I had to stay home, and eventually did 50 weekends in jail. Where go in on Friday, spend 2 nights in there, and then come out on Sunday. I did that for a year.
How hard is that?
It was very difficult because it was like, partially I was like, I should just do 3 months straight. But then I don't know if I can do that either. So I was like, all right, I'll do the weekends.
Yeah.
But doing weekends, it taught you a lot about time and patience, right? And learning how to just be able to sit with yourself and be patient. But going to jail every weekend for a year sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, it sucks. And it was to the point where like it was so boring. You look forward to like they allow you to have like going out and picking up trash, and it was like, all right, let me just go out and pick up trash. It sucks, but it sucks. But yeah, but that was my unfortunate situation. I had to deal with that, and I had to sit and live with myself, knowing that I did that for like no reason, for like a really stupid reason.
Yeah.
But this was about the same time where I first saw the UFC. So really, at the end of the day, having to sit with myself really kind of drove me towards the UFC a little more. And then that's when I was like, I'm gonna learn how to do this. So I couldn't leave, couldn't do nothing, couldn't go nowhere. So I was use that unfortunate situation to kind of learn how to fight.
Yeah. So you're saying if that whole situation doesn't happen, you won't be in the UFC?
Right. If that situation doesn't happen, I'm not here right now.
It's a burn moment.
Yeah,
crazy.
That's my burn moment.
Was during that toughest time of going to juvenile jail over the weekends, was there one particular thing that just made you happy, that brought joy to you during that toughest time?
No, not really. No, I mean, it was nothing about that made me happy. But looking back, it was necessary. It's necessary because I needed to sit in it. I needed to sit in it, and I needed to be like, all right, this is how you focus. Otherwise, like distractions come easy. You can get distracted easily. But being forced to not leave the county, couldn't leave the county, had to show up to jail every Friday. I had to sit in it. So having to sit in it forced me to learn how to focus.
Were you in school during this time? Or
No,
was this summer?
This was in the summer of, I had planned to go to college, and the year right after I graduated. So I was out of school, and that happened as soon as school ended. And so like I spent my first year out of high school dealing with legal issues. So but again, necessary because I had to sit in that. And I had to learn how to be by myself. And I had to learn how to do things by myself, which I already had, felt like I was pretty good at. Like I said, teaching myself like a hair and doing this. But so then I just used that time to just study fighting. And I was studying fighting way back then.
What was that last day like? The last day you
Oh,
were in there?
I was like, y'all can kiss my bleed.
It just got out.
Yeah, that last day was great. I mean, I was like, but also too, I guess if there's any one good thing about it is that people who go to jail, they know right away. Like either you can do it or you can't. But once you walk in there, you're like, I can't do it. This ain't for me. And now I know, like I don't do nothing. I'm not spitting on the sidewalk. I won't do anything illegal because I know I don't ever want to go back because it's not for me. Some people don't mind. Like I used to see people come and go and they just don't care. And that's how it is for some people. Some people don't care. But for me, once you step foot in that place, that is it. I ain't never going back.
For sure. I can't even imagine it. I would be the same way if I went. I would just obey by nothing. I wouldn't even throw, kind of what you said, gum on the side. I wouldn't even do nothing.
Rule follower.
Yeah, exactly. What was the go-to meal after?
Right when you got out.
Right when you got out. Was it some fast food restaurant?
Probably. I was poor. You know what I'm saying? So like Burger King was my thing. McDonald's and Burger King. Yeah.
Okay. What's the go-to at Burger King?
At the time, even still kind of now. At the time, it was chicken sandwiches.
Chicken
In
sandwiches.
fact, my whole fight career, that was my go-to.
Really?
Yeah. Like, nowadays, everybody's scientific, everybody got nutrition. Listen, back in the day, I was going through, because I used to live across the street from the University of Central Florida, and there was a McDonald's, or not, a Burger King, like right around the corner. And after practice, I hit up that Burger King and be like, boom, give me, and they were $1 at the time. I was like, give me 3 of them and some barbecue sauce. That was my meal. 3 of them and some barbecue sauce.
Nowadays, it's like $12
Yeah,
for
I know.
just that.
Yeah, nowadays it's expensive. It's expensive now. So like, I might as well just eat. I might as well eat decent now because it's expensive to eat your fast food.
Yeah,
He's like that. He's all into McDonald's and all.
Yeah, I'm not
I like
a good
that. Did you ever
eater.
get the chicken fries from Burger King?
I never had those.
You never had those?
I never had
Oh,
those.
you got to go try them.
I gotta try those.
Do you like spicy food?
Sometimes.
Okay, get the
Sometimes.
spicy ones.
Yeah.
They're not too hot. You got to try them. They're really, really good.
I gotta try that.
Was
for
your
sure.
chicken sandwich better than the sheet balls you ate on Dana White Contender Series?
Oh, actually, they weren't that bad. Listen,
I know you liked them.
You can fry anything. Listen, you fry anything, it tastes pretty good.
What was the texture like?
Yeah. Like I said, you just fry it and you don't even taste it. You just taste like fried. It just tastes like fried whatever.
You do everything on that show.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I have to. Like that's my thing. I have to. Because Dana ain't gonna do it. And Matt is the most. Matt won't do anything he doesn't want to do. Nothing.
Really?
Nothing. He won't do anything he doesn't want to do. You can't talk him into anything.
The peer pressure won't work.
Nope.
Was that?
It was so weird. Like, and this is so we did Rogan a few weeks ago.
Oh, okay, yeah,
So,
I saw that.
Yeah, so we did Rogan a few weeks ago, and when we got the opportunity to do that, like, I was talking to Joe, and he's like, "Yo, you think Matt will come on?" I was like, "I don't know, man. Matt don't go nowhere. He doesn't leave Long Island. He's like, Matt don't go nowhere.
He's just all isolated.
Yeah. So then Joe Rogan texts Matt and say, "Hey, you want to do the show?" And Matt texts me, he's like, "Yo, who is this? Is this real?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Man, I'll do it." So yeah, I was like, "Joe Rogan," So yeah, it had to talk him into that.
Was it awkward being with Matt Serra though, since you fought him in the UFC?
No. I mean, Matt's like my best friend.
Yeah.
For sure. He's my best friend for sure. I mean, we have a lot of history that goes back over 20 years, and just because his roommate was Rodrigo Gracie. And I had a grappling match with Rodrigo Gracie in Danbury, Connecticut in, I think it was like the year 2000. And he broke my elbow. So I obviously lost the match.
Yeah.
And then that same year, Matt Serra had a grappling match with my roommate, Paul Rodriguez, in the Abu Dhabi trials to go to Abu Dhabi. And he choked my roommate out. So like Matt had already, So Matt has always been like one up on me.
Yeah.
For, all of our careers. So when we fought, it was a split decision. And they announced him as the winner inside the octagon. Then 10 minutes later, they came back and told me that I had actually won, that the judge got it wrong. He had scored it wrong. He scored he put the scores for Matt on my side, and he
mixed
switched
up the
them.
columns.
He mixed the card. Yeah.
So were you already in the back at that time?
Yeah, we were in the back when they announced me as the winner.
Oh man,
Wow.
that's gonna be crazy.
Then I wonder
talk
if-
about emotions.
Yeah, I know. It was like, because I'm down. I'm like,
Yeah.
when they announced him the winner, I was like, I couldn't believe it. I was like, how did this happen? Couldn't believe it. And then when they told me I won, I was like, yes. So then that's why there was an episode of Dana White Looking for a Fight. We were in Sturgis. I went and got a tattoo on my arm. It's right here. It says, "Hey Matt, I won." So like,
No way.
Hey Matt, I won. Yeah.
What was his reaction to that?
He was like, "Man, you're so stupid."
When did you get this? What year?
I just got that it was a couple years ago.
Okay, did it hurt?
Oh yeah. I got like the worst tattoos because they hurt. See, people get tattoos and like I'm like, I don't know how to these people get tattoos. It hurts so bad. And they're like, "You gonna get that finished?" I'm like, "It's finished.
It's finished.
It's done. It's done. That's it."
How many do you have?
I have about 5.
Oh, you have about
But they're
5.
all small and cheesy.
Yeah.
They're like prison tattoos.
Yeah.
Yeah, like if I told you I got them in prison, you'd believe me. Yeah, they're all small and cheesy.
That's crazy coming from a fighter, though, because people think fighters are so tough because they just get hit in the head constantly and they're bleeding, but getting a tattoo, it still hurts.
No, see, that's the misconception about fighting, is that it's not that painful.
Really?
And if you're doing it right, it shouldn't be that painful because your job is to protect yourself. Like that should be as a fighter, your number one job. I know how it looks on TV where guys are killing each other, but that's because like they just have a hard time protecting themselves, or that's whatever their training is. But your number one job should be to protect yourself. That's why I won't do pro wrestling, because your job in pro wrestling is to get hurt.
Yeah.
So like for fighting, my job is to protect myself. So I'm trying not to get hurt. So like that, I'm not getting hurt.
I see. Did you ever get knocked out? What does that feel like?
Oh, it felt great.
What? It felt great.
It was amazing. It was amazing.
No.
It was actually my very first fight in the UFC. It was against BJ Penn, and so because I was the dude at that time. I was the big deal. Like BJ was just a jiu-jitsu guy, so like I was the favorite. It was in New York. It was the co-main event, and the main event was Tito Ortiz and Elvis Sinisic. So it's UFC 32. I was the big deal at the time, and I go out there. I'm fighting BJ. Man, I tried to take his head off. I threw the biggest punch I've ever thrown in my life because I thought I tried to fake with the right. I tried to move his head over, and I threw the biggest left. I was like, "Ugh." But I missed, and he didn't fall for the fake.
If I just
I didn't sell the fake good enough. Yeah. So I threw the fake and I threw the punch. I missed, and then as a jiu-jitsu guy, I was expecting him to duck under the punch and try to shoot.
Yeah.
So at that moment, after I missed, my natural reaction was to stop the shot. So I put my head down, and instead of shooting, he gonna throw a knee.
Oh.
Why he throw a knee? He hadn't thrown a knee. So I ended up boom, and I just knocked out. I was out.
Do you just go to sleep whenever you get knocked out?
Yeah, like I do remember like the world kind of spinning, and then I remember waking up in the back. I don't remember walking out. I had to watch that on TV. I don't remember walking out of the octagon. I watched that on TV. But I do remember being in the back and the doctor going, "What month is it?" And I was like, "It's March," but it was June.
Oh.
Yeah, I remember saying that.
Scary.
And then it goes blank again. And then I remember being in the ambulance going to the hospital going, that's when I really woke up, and I remember going, "Oh no, what happened?" And all I could think about was, "Oh, we got to do this again. This can't be real. We got to go back." And I was like, call him back and tell him I'm ready to go now.
Run this fight right now.
Tell him I'm ready to go now. But then I think about it, I go, man, that felt pretty good though. Felt like a good rest.
Is it?
It was amazing.
Do you think it's true that people that like don't get knocked out for so long in the UFC and then they finally get clipped, they just keep getting clipped after that? Or
Sometimes that happens. Like you can lose your chin. And I mean, we've seen, eventually you lose your chin. And we've seen that happen over and over again. Like Chuck Liddell's a prime example. Like you can pluck him now and he'll go down.
Yeah.
But eventually, like once you get knocked out the first time, it's like opening Pandora's box. It becomes easier after that. So like that's why it's important to.
You feel like relieved after?
Yeah.
Like almost like I know like now, like there's no fear going into the fight.
What of getting knocked out?
Yeah.
No. Like I mean, you kind of want your chin. Like you kind of want a chin.
I feel like once you get knocked out, though, it completely changes you. Like you become a little bit more reactive than proactive.
You absolutely. And I remember, so when I was on The Ultimate Fighter, I remember Mikey Burnett, who I actually fought in the house. He was talking to me, and he was like, "Man, ever since he's like, before you knocked BJ out, you were a killer. Then afterwards, you kind of stopped." And that's what happens. Like you get a little gunshot because you don't want it to happen again. And that's what it was. And it wasn't the feeling of getting knocked out. It was just the embarrassment.
Yeah.
Like, that's why like when guys get knocked out, like you see like Michael Johnson get knocked out and he's like, I'm like, man, how does he come back from that? These guys come back from it. Like for me, I was like, if I get knocked out like that one more time,
it's done.
I'm moving. I can't go back home.
It's probably so hard mentally too. Like just the embarrassment, like you say, of letting your team down and letting people down.
Yeah, because like everybody's watching. Like that's how it was for me because this was in a time like right now the UFC is accessible. Like we watching on I'm watching on a plane. I'm like, what? But when I had fought, it was the first time it was back on TV, back on pay-per-view because Senator John McCain had gotten it off TV. This was the first one back on TV. So I'm like, yo, watch the show. I'm fighting this dude. Watch it. And I remember even like I was hype. I remember, what's his name? Dennis Rodman was at the arena. And I was like, yo, Dennis, check this. I was like, yo, Dennis, I'm about to go fight. Yo, watch this fight. And then afterwards, I was like, oh, man, I can't believe this.
Yeah.
Everybody saw it. I was like, everybody saw it. I was like, how do I go home from this? It sucked.
Yeah. I can't even imagine what the next day is. What is it like the next day after?
After getting knocked out, oh, your weekend is ruined. Like you're just like,
you're just embarrassed.
You don't want to do anything.
How do you come out of that? Like what did
it
you do
it
to
took
come
me a
out
couple
of
of
that?
months. It took me a couple of months to come out of that.
Really?
It took me a couple of months because I remember I was like, but this was the first time where I actually, so like after that, I went to, so I got another fight booked. So that was in June. I got another fight booked in Vegas. It was the first fight in Las Vegas history. So, and that was in September. So I spent September, the first part of September, in Los Angeles training for the first time. And then on September 11th, 9/11 was the day where my ticket, I was supposed to go back home to Florida. 9/11 happened. I got stuck in Los Angeles for a week. So I'm in Los Angeles, stuck in Los Angeles for a week, trying to prepare for a fight that was happening September 28th.
So did it end up getting pushed at all or no?
No, we still did the fight. We still got the fight, but there were no flights leaving during that time for a whole week. So I got stuck in Los Angeles. I had to hang out in Los Angeles for a week, just kind of bumming around, training when I could. And it kind of sucked, but like I was prepared. You know why I was prepared? Because I did 52 weekends in jail. So like nothing at that. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. So like every time something bad happens now, I go, man, I did 52 weekends in jail.
Yeah.
So like now, this is nothing.
Yeah, it's crazy to see how, kind of like I was saying earlier, the unfortunate burn moments can really help you in the future.
I always draw back on that, so I'm thinking, oh, this is nothing. This is sure better than being in jail.
This portion of the Burn Factory podcast is sponsored by Phoenix Salon Suites. Please visit Phoenix Salon Suites at PHENIX Salons SALON Suites SUITES.com to find one near you. We are going to move on to R now. R stands for ridiculous. You kind of alluded a little bit. Dana White looking for a fight and eating those, what were they, sheep testicles?
Yeah.
And so were there any more ridiculous burn moments that you have gone through in your career?
I mean, my whole career is pretty ridiculous. Like just to be doing this now, I find it to be ridiculous because, the game now is so different than it was before. I mean, it was so wild, wild west. To see where it is now, to see everybody making a lifestyle happen because of this game is crazy. It's tremendously ridiculous. But the fact that I got on Dana White looking for a fight is pretty ridiculous. Because I mean, I don't even know how I really got on that show. I remember I was training Amanda Nunes, to fight Valentina Shevchenko. Or no, actually, she was fighting Misha Tate for the title. I was training Amanda for that, and I got a phone call from a 702 number. And I'm like, man, who is this? I don't know who that is. I just hung up on him. And then Matt Serra sends me a text. Hey, man, listen, Dana's trying to call you. Like, Dana who? Dana White. I'm like, oh, what did I do?
Am I in trouble?
I'm like, what did I do? And then he goes, so then I'm like, all right. So then I call him back. I said, what's up? He's like, Dean, what's happening? I'm like, what's up? He's like, you ever seen the show Looking for a Fight? I was like, of course I have. I didn't. I never seen it. I was like, of course I have. And he's like, well, you know, our third guy can't do it anymore. Would you like to do it? I was like, of course. You kidding me? And he goes, all right, but the catch is you got to leave tomorrow. I was like, I got my bag packed in the car. I had the bag packed in the car. Because I'm always ready. Always ready. And they sent me a ticket, and I was on the show the next day. I was on the show.
What was the first episode?
The first episode was Los Angeles, and that was the first time where I actually did stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
Because that was the episode where we did stand-up comedy.
All the three did stand-up comedy.
Yeah, we all did stand-up comedy. And I was like, and I ain't gonna lie, man, that was, because I had done a tremendous amount of improv, but that's different. You're on stage with people, and you're just acting out scenes. But like to get on stage and look out in front of a crowd and tell them, listen, I'm funny, I'm gonna make you laugh, and then do it was hard. I was nervous. I was really nervous, but what helped me from not being as nervous was watching Dana be nervous. I mean, he was back there. His hands was shaking. And he had somebody write his jokes. Oh. He had Tony Hinchcliffe write his whole set, and he was still nervous.
I was just about to ask you that. Did you already know what you're going to plan to say during the comedy?
No,
or you just
I didn't know what we were doing. Like, so when I got there, they were like, all right, so here's what's on the itinerary. And they're like, we're going to Randy's Donuts to make donuts. We're doing this, and then we're going to do a comedy set at the Laugh Factory. I was like, wait, what? They're like, so write a set. I was like, what? I was like, a real comedy show? And it was a real show. Like, they had David Spade was the headliner.
Oh my gosh. So it was a big time show.
It was a big time show.
Kind of like the hot dog eating contest you and Matt Serra did without even knowing that. And he pulled out a pizza and started eating it.
Yeah, so that whole hot dog thing, man, I totally let myself. Eating hot dogs is a lot harder than you think. Like, you know, 4th of July come around, you be like, you just pounding hot dogs, and yeah, I got this. But when you under pressure, it's a lot harder than it looks.
And you probably didn't even get hungry because there's so much pressure.
Yeah, I wasn't hungry. I'm sitting there like, yeah, I got this. And then I ate like 2 of them. I was like, man, this is getting disgusting.
I don't like hot dogs. I don't think I could do it.
Then Dana took you guys through a tour of the hot dog factory and something being made.
Oh, and it was disgusting.
It was?
It smelled like grease and like boiled rat. It just smelled nasty, yeah.
Could you eat a hot dog right now, Phoenix?
Not anymore. Not because you guys are talking about it.
Yeah, I mean, and those were different kind of hot dogs too. They were like they were called red snappers, and they only make them in that area. And it's like a hard casing where like you bite into it and it snaps almost like a balloon.
Did they taste differently?
No, it doesn't really taste differently. It's just got a different texture,
okay.
And it's like really like red, like lipstick. It's disgusting.
Like a jalapeno.
Yeah. Now I definitely don't want to eat a hot dog.
Yeah, it was kind of disgusting.
So out of all the Dana White's Looking for the Fights, what do you think is the most ridiculous thing that you did?
I'll tell you what the most, for me, like even when I think back to when I did it, I'm like, why did I do that? And that was swimming with sharks. Swimming with sharks. And it wasn't that we swam with sharks. So I remember when we were going to do it, they were like, are you going to get in the cage? And you're going to go down with sharks? And I was like, all right, that's cool, as long as I'm in the cage, right? So then when we get on the boat and we go out 3 miles into the water, they go, nah, you don't want to use the cage. The cage is for wimps. Oh, they're like, little kids go out there.
Don't tell me you had a free swim out there.
Now keep in mind, I don't swim at all. I can't swim. And I jumped in. I had the life vest on.
You were the first one in, too.
I was the first one in. And when I hit that water, I was like, I was so scared. I mean, it was one of them times where like I really was like, all right, this might be it for me. Like that might be.
You're facing death, huh?
That's what I really thought I was. I was like, tell my family I love them. I really thought I was like, this could be it. And I jumped in, and first it was nothing. I'm in there by myself. I mean, it was like so nerve-wracking. Then when I looked down, I saw the first shark. I was like, oh.
What type of shark? Did you see what
there
what
were
type of shark?
tiger sharks.
Tiger, aren't those like one of the most dangerous ones too? Tiger sharks.
I think so. They're pretty dangerous.
So then finally Dana jumps in and then Matt jumps in, and then they start throwing chum in the water.
No. No.
And then I looked down again, and one was coming right at me, and I couldn't get out fast enough. I said, "Get me the hell out of here!" I couldn't get out fast enough. I was like, "I'm done." I literally thought I was going to die.
I can't even imagine what's going through your head.
I thought I was going to die.
I would start swinging up. Get away
I
from
was
me.
like, and like I said, I don't know how to swim, so I'm sitting there like doggy paddling, just trying to get out as fast as I could. And as soon as I got out of the water, I was like, I felt this sense of relief. Like, I couldn't believe I just did that. Like, that was the dumbest thing I've ever done in my life.
Where was this? And
that was actually, oddly enough, it was like 20 minutes from where I live in Florida.
oh, okay, so it was in Florida.
Yeah, it was in Florida.
I would never swim with sharks. I don't think I could do it.
And like some people could, do it, but like to be chumming the water and to be antagonizing these sharks and getting them
with no cage either.
Right, no
yeah,
cage.
you're
Like,
just in there.
I thought like with the cage would have been all right. I would have been like, all right, let's do it. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? What they gonna do to me? But nah. I was like, no, never
Would you,
again.
if Dana came back and said, "Hey, let's go redo this film of Swim with Sharks," would you go do it again?
I'd say after you jump off the cliff in Hawaii.
Yeah, because he didn't do
do
that.
that. Yeah. After you jump off that cliff, then I'll go swimming with sharks. Yeah.
How scary was that?
That wasn't that bad, only because like I didn't really give myself an opportunity to be scared. Like I had like pumped myself
go.
up. Yeah, it was in situations like we're in Hawaii. Hawaii, if you've never been to Hawaii, you got to go. It's an amazing place. We're in Hawaii. It's such a cool place. And I was like, all right, I'm just gonna walk up. As soon as I get to it, I'm not even gonna look. I'm just gonna jump. And again, I don't swim, but this time they wouldn't let me wear a vest because if you have a vest on, the vest won't go down, and you can like break a rib by hitting the water. So. They were just like, we'll catch you when you go down. So,
Catch you?
Yeah. Well, I mean, not like, hey, no, it was like, so I jumped it. So I walked up, and I just saw my spot and I jumped, and I jumped and I hit the bottom of the floor or the floor, and then I just,
you did?
Yeah. As soon as I hit the bottom, I jumped back up, and then they grabbed me, and I was like,
How many feet was the drop?
it's about 20 or 30 feet.
That looks a lot bigger when you're standing up there.
Yeah, when you're standing up there.
Yeah.
And the rocks probably came out too, so you have to like actually go and jump out far.
When you're standing up there, I mean, it looks like.
No,
But you know, the weird thing is, I would probably do that again if I had to. I would probably do that again if I had to.
Next time you go, I'll go.
Yeah,
do
I
it.
need somebody to go.
Where
with
in
me.
Hawaii was it?
I don't even know.
You don't know?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wherever the Hawaiian dudes be.
And then after that, you guys went and go watch some fights and stuff. What fights were they? Who was fighting? Some
in the Hawaii one. Who fought there? I remember it was a guy from Team Alpha Male, and he fought. I mean, Hawaii's got a lot of talented fighters. Like, so there's. If you've never seen like street fighting videos in Hawaii, you gotta go back and watch them because like everybody in Hawaii can fight. It's like they grow up, like they learn how to fight. So they had a lot of talented guys, but I think the guy that we picked up was from like Team Alpha. I can't remember who it was though, but.
and you guys signed him?
Yeah, they signed him.
Oh, that's cool.
It's definitely getting a lot bigger, probably, especially with Max Holloway being champion.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. The big Simone.
But they've always had like good street fighters. So like I said, if you go back and watch it, look like real boxers just scrapping.
Yeah. It's crazy to see the evolution of MMA. Like, look at Mexico right now. You have
I know.
3 champions.
Almost could have had 4.
Could have 4.
Could have had 4.
close.
Yeah,
We were
Mexico,
there for that one. Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Mexico is has really come up, and it's good to see that too. It's really
And they're
come
building
up.
the PI there, which is probably
Yeah.
going to help a lot.
They need to get a event out there in Mexico someday.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they had the one in Mexico City, but I don't think the guys.
That was like years ago.
Yeah, it was
right?
a long time.
Yeah.
It was Cain Velasquez and Verdun.
Do you think you'll eventually go back?
I think so. Oh, of course. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. And I think a lot of it depends on what happens this weekend. If Yair can pull this off, I'm sure that would help.
Yeah.
But if Moreno's a bona fide star. He's a star. And if he can win, which he should, I think they'll do a show in Mexico.
Who do you have in the main event, by the way?
Volkanovski.
Volkanovski? Yeah, that's what I said.
It's hard to go against him, man.
Yeah,
He's
I
just
mean-
shown, and he's levels above everyone in that division.
He's solid. He doesn't make a lot of mistakes. He doesn't leave himself open a lot. He makes adjustments faster than anybody.
So good at reading.
Yeah.
You can read. Yeah.
Like once you do something to him one time, you will never be able to do it to him again.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a lot of stance switches, a lot of feints. He almost kind of lulls the opponent to sleep.
Yeah, he closes distance really fast too. So like he can be like snake charm you and then boom, jump on you, and next thing you know he's in on you. So
And he's not scared to go down to the ground either.
no, and I think he's got an underrated ground game. I mean, training with Craig Jones probably helps, but he's got an underrated ground game that I think could give Yair problems if they end up. I think that's the key to this fight though, because I don't think he wants to spend too much time on the outside with a guy like Yair.
Especially Yair, because you could be nose to nose with Yair and he's throwing a head kick.
Yeah,
his kicks, man.
And he's got fight-changing weapons on his feet.
In the prediction show, I talked about how I feel like Volkanovski needs to go down to the mat against Yair to win this one.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be good fights. All the fights
Can't
this
wait for
weekend are
tomorrow.
gonna be good.
Can't wait for tomorrow.
So you're taking Moreno then in the co-main event? You think he's gonna do it?
Yeah, I think Moreno's a completely different guy.
I think he's just so calm and he's at such peace in his life. Like we had him on the show and he talks about like in the back, he's like singing his daughter's songs. Like that's how at peace he is in his mind. I think it really shows in his fighting.
He's such a little kid too. Like he acts
the
like
Legos
yeah,
and stuff.
Legos and did you see the clip with him trying to use the Gen Z words? There's a clip of it like
no,
it's like him and Robert Whitaker and a couple other fighters, and they're like putting words up that you kids use, and they're trying to see what they mean. They're trying to like give the definition,
so
and they don't know them. It's pretty funny actually.
So they're kind of like slang words.
Yeah, they're slang words,
say.
and
okay.
they're like sus and Rizzy or whatever. I
Oh,
don't know,
Rizzy.
Riz or whatever. Yeah, I don't even know what I don't even know what they are. I don't even know what they are. And much less Brandon Moreno. And Brandon Moreno like, what is this?
You didn't even know him though?
No one did. No one. Bo Nickel knew like one of them.
He's younger too.
Yeah, and he's a little bit younger.
Yeah, he's in the...
a little.
What do you think about his last minute opponent change?
I think it's unfortunate for a lot of other UFC fighters. Now, I know Bo Nickel's a special case. I give him that. But the fact that he has to get help in order for him to do well. He's going to have to get – I get that. But I think he's getting a lot of help for sure. Because even Trayshawn Gore was kind of help, right?
Like they're almost like trying to like pat his record almost to say?
Yeah, the problem is he don't have any experience outside of the UFC. Because so that's why you can justify it. But then if you're using that as justification for giving him beneficial matches, then say, well, maybe you should have gave him more experience outside of the UFC. Because if you look at it, so let's take Abus Nurmagomedov. His second fight was Sean Strickland in the main event. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And Alaskarov, his first fight was Phil Hawes. His second fight is gonna be Paulo Costa for the BMF.
Oh, yeah. We saw.
Yeah.
He actually fought in May in Newark.
Right.
Yeah, we saw him fight.
Against Phil Hawes. He knocked Phil Hawes out. And now we look at, Bo Nickel, his third fight, he's fighting Val Woodburn.
Yeah.
on pay-per-view. So it's like I get where we got to give him help, but it's just kind of a little unfair, I think,
Yeah, I agree. But all right, Dean, it's time to go to the last letter N. It's kind of two parts. It's now and next. So what are some burn moments that you're going through right now in your life? And do you see any burn moments in the foreseeable future?
For right now, I'm just trying to catch up, in terms of where everybody else is. One thing that I know is that, you can't survive in any industry being the same. You have to always evolve and you have to constantly reinvent yourself. So I'm in the process now of burning myself, like intentionally burning myself to reinvent myself more on this side where you guys are at, on the media side, because I can't fight. I'm never going to, like these guys come out of retirement and do bare knuckle. I am never going to do bare knuckle. I will be homeless before I do bare knuckle. Yeah.
Nope.
Did you watch the Rockhold fight and Mike Perry?
Yeah. And Rockhold should never do bare knuckle like this. He's not built for that. Like, and most people aren't built for that. Like you got to be a special human being to do something like that. So I'm not doing it. Yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing power slap. So I'm intentionally burning myself now to be better at this stuff so that this could be my next direction.
Do you think
this is where I'm going next.
Do you think you'll actually move one day behind the desk and commentate, or would you still be doing
I don't necessarily like that role.
Really?
Yeah, like to be with Joe Rogan and them. I don't necessarily like that role. I like what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And then I like working the desk during the pre-show and the post-show.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I like doing that.
We've also seen you kind of
Yeah.
on the weigh-in shows.
Yeah,
And
I like
stuff
doing the
that.
weigh-in show.
Those are fun.
Yeah.
Those are fun.
So, and I'm also doing After Tough, the post show for The Ultimate Fighter, and that's probably my favorite role. So like that's really what I ultimately kind of want to do is more stuff like that.
What makes that so fun to you?
I mean, and shout out to ESPN for allowing me to do it, but they giving me complete like control creatively. So like they allow me to bring in my characters and they allow me to do stuff.
And not be so scriptive.
Right. They're just like, that's what we want because we understand this is the entertainment business. We don't want you necessarily breaking down the X's and the O's. They want me making fun of people. So
Yeah.
comedy.
Yeah.
They want me. So the very first show I did like a Conor McGregor character, which I don't do an Irish accent. I actually wrote like some stuff down and gave it to Molly McCann.
Oh, yeah.
She's from Liverpool.
Yeah.
So if the accent is really bad, it's like it's like 'cause she's from Liverpool. So I was like, Molly, say this, and I'm gonna try to just say it the way you say it. So,
What was one of like the words?
yeah, it was it's just like Michael Chandler.
Oh, Michael Chandler.
Yeah.
And then you just did the
Michael
thing with
Chandler.
Then you just did the thing with Juliana. The
Yeah,
neck
with Juliana.
pose.
Yeah. So
was
and
funny.
and they're cool about that. They want that type of energy. So to be able to do that, and for them to have that type of confidence in me is I like that. So
And that's what people want to see too, is your
Yeah.
true self. They don't want
Yeah.
to be,
yeah, and I mean because anybody could have did that show. They could have gave that show to Megan O'Leary or so. The fact that they allow me to have that show, that I'm like, all right, I gotta be able to deliver.
Okay, so looking forward to the future. Do you have anything kind of brewing that you're excited about?
So between doing more stuff like that, and I have a couple acting projects that I'm working on as well. Again, burning through money to make this stuff happen too. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
But the reality is that a lot of actors they go through the process like auditioning and so on and so forth. And I was like, and I still audition for stuff sometimes, but at the end of the day, I'm creating my own projects. I got a team of guys down in South Florida, and we're creating our own projects, doing like shorts and different projects. Because now, if I'm going to waste money like spending time trying to go on auditions and hoping I get this part, I'm not doing that. I'm creating my own projects. I'm going to finance my own projects. I'm going to burn through that money to finance my own projects and create the characters that I want. And that's how we're doing it. So we're in the process now of creating like a series. We want to do a series in South Florida. So
What's it like based off?
I'm a crooked cop.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a crooked cop.
Okay.
Dealing with some drug dealing guys and so on and so forth.
What is it like acting though?
Oh, I love it. I mean, it's another creative process. Even as a fighter, I always thought of myself as more of an artist type fighter. When you look at fighters, artists, Anderson Silva, Izzy, those are more artist type fighters, and that's kind of how I was.
Yeah.
But then when I retired from fighting, I needed a place to express my art, so I do it now on screen.
Yeah. Well, if you need someone to fill a role, you can call me.
He's
I
getting
act a
into
little
acting.
bit.
Oh,
Yeah.
are you?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Listen, everybody work around me. I like everybody to work.
Yeah. I take acting lessons with Jamie Foxx's acting coach.
No kidding.
Yeah. So I'm
Listen,
new to it.
Jamie Foxx is hands down the greatest entertainer we've ever seen.
For sure.
So you are in good hands.
Yeah. It's so fun because it's something new. Kind of like with starting this, it's new. And I'm able just to like learn. And it's
Never stop
awesome.
learning.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
for
awesome
sure.
to be able to take a character and like make it yourself.
Right,
Like, put
for sure.
yourself into that character.
Yeah, put yourself into them shoes and create the colors of the words on the page, right? To bring
Yeah.
it to life. So like that's
Exactly.
special.
Exactly.
What would be some advice that you give me as an aspiring actor?
You just said it. Keep learning.
Keep learning.
Yeah, well, you know what? Keep learning and take yourself out of it. Because what we do is, we put our own baggage onto things. We got to take ourselves out of it and tell the story.
Don't let your ego get in
Yeah.
the way, basically.
Yeah, don't let your ego get in the don't let your ego get in the way. Don't let your baggage or your insecurities get in the way. Just tell the story.
Yeah.
Always
That
stay
makes a lot
humble.
of sense.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But all right, Dean, you just spelled burning your life. So thank you so much for coming on the show. Tell the audience where they can find you at, your social medias, everything.
All my social media is the same. It's at Din Thomas. Dean is spelled D-I-N. You can hear me on Sirius Radio, on MMA Today, Sirius Fight Nation, and on ESPN during the fights. All kinds of stuff. I'm everywhere. I'm everywhere. So Dean Thomas at D-I-N Thomas. Find me.
You heard the man. Go give him some love. And as a gift, Dean, for coming on the podcast, you will be getting the Black Label Edition Burn Factory hoodie. Only guests get these.
Ooh, only I love it. I could use a nice hoodie.
Only guests get these. So no
Thank
one
you very much. For real?
Yeah,
for real. Guests get these. I appreciate you guys.
The belt.
And the belt?
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Oh.
But, all right, that's going to do it from this episode of the Burn Factory podcast. Like always, follow, and subscribe at the Burn Factory podcast.
And like always, please visit my foundation as well, the priestjamesfoundation.org. Again, the priestjamesfoundation.org to understand why this is called the Burn Factory.
We'll see you guys for the next episode. Peace.
All right, guys, we're here with Din Thomas, who just spelled burn in his life, and he is now the Burn Factory podcast champion.
Awesome, dude. Thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it. You were an inspiration to us. Definitely an inspiration to a lot of people out there, so thank you so much for coming on.
I'm the champ.
I love it.
All right, man. Listen, I appreciate you guys.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I appreciate y'all.
Yes.
Thank you very much. And y'all refer to me as the champ.
Yes, sir.
Champ Din Thomas.